Happy New Year, everybody. Hello, I am Charlie Tolhurst, and welcome to the Charlie Tolhurst Show for today, the 3rd of January 2022. As you guys would have known, due to commitments with squash over the next few days, I have had to move my show to tonight. It was a bit of a last-minute change, but it is on tonight. We will be bringing you over the next hour or so plenty of straight talking discussions on some of the biggest news headlines of the last week, including New Year's honours list and also having a look at the World Darts Championship final between Michael Smith and Michael Van Gerwen as well, as I'm sure many people are probably watching that tonight in the pub. I'm joined by late party supporter Zach James for all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Right, we're going to start off now with this part of the show. Now, and I have to say, guys, we're going to open the show up now by talking about something very, very important now. I'm going to open my show off tonight by talking about the latest news from in the UK. Now, yes, guys, before you would have asked, there has been more news on the roads and the rails, particularly on the rails, with another set of train strikes happening this week. Oh my God, just as the schools are about to go back, more train strikes have been announced. The RMT this week are going to walk out for about 48 hours, I think, until Saturday, according to what Mick Lynch said, the RMT union. Again today, RMT warning of more strikes happening because pay demands haven't been met yet. As you guys would know, Mark Harper, the Transport Secretary, has been grilled a number of times by senior MPs in the transport questions. And it seems like when I read up his social media post saying that we're actually negotiating with unions and solving things, it doesn't seem like, according to Mick Lynch, things are actually getting solved at all. Zach, going to bring you in on this here. What do you make to Mark Harper's tweet earlier on, where he kind of explained that things were actually improving when technically things are not?
Well, it's interesting tone to take. Whether he's correct or not remains to be seen in that instance. There was actually some hint from Network Rail and the bosses of Network Rail that they sort of suggested that a deal was getting really close, actually, given what the comments that came out today from the boss of Network Rail and what sources close to him said. Now, that could be just a bit of bluff. Who knows? From what I've seen of negotiations in the past is that we do get these big bluffs, big statements, one side saying we're nowhere near it, one side saying we are near it. And it turns out we could possibly be having a deal in the end. Next, by the time they all say statements, the deal has been magically eroded. Who knows what this prediction has come out to be true? But yeah, whether Network Rail can reach a deal with RMT or not remains to be seen. I always think that there is always a deal that is possible. Whether both sides are ready to take it. The benefits of taking this deal, if there is one, it means that all these strikes are going to stop. But currently, at the moment, as there's been no deal reached, we are on strike. At the moment, there are strikes. I'm afraid at the moment, and yeah, this is the consequence of both sides failing to reach a deal. And RMT have gone on another set of strikes, another 48-hour one. Mick Lynch has been around the broadcast round this morning, obviously doing his usual typical things, accusing the government of not being fair in negotiations. Network Rail have taken a bit of a different tone this morning. Obviously, as I said, there were them talking up possibly a deal being reached soon. But Mick Lynch, on the other hand, was talking about going beyond May potentially for these strikes to continue, which it would be another 4 months, potentially even longer than that, if these negotiations do not come to consensus. And obviously, Mick Lynch will have to go through another reballoting process because his mandate only lasted up until May, and then he'll have to ballot his members to to see if they support any new deal that they come up with or not. But yeah, it's we don't know what the situation is. Network Rail seem more confident. Mick Lynch taking a more skeptical and a more I don't think so approach. But whilst this is going on, the consequences of rail strikes continue to happen. Rail fares are continuing to go up. As you're probably aware, I think it was a further increase a couple of weeks ago that was announced by Network Rail in terms of rail seasonally rail fares. And it's all it comes at the cost to the customer at the end of the day, as well. Now, whether this what they call anti-union legislation is going to come in or not, we don't know yet. Rishi Sunak talked that up a few weeks ago. No sign of it quite yet. Some suggest that he may have pared it back a little bit, but to be obviously intended to deal with consequences, but a little bit less strictly. But yeah, we're still currently it's still a stalemate, unfortunately. The Network Rail is still at stalemate. As well as the RMT going on start, I think ULIS drivers are also going to go out on strike. So we're going to see actual train drivers go out on strike this week as well. The staff as well. So that's coming up as well. Yeah, it's going to be another disruptive week on the railways, given the fact that going to work, students are going back to college. I mean, students also go back to university if they travel by public transport to university as well and use their season tickets. So it's another costly and probably disruptive week on the railways this week.
I think, according to this report here, what was it? 3rd to the 4th and 6th and the 7th, there's walkouts planned for this. This is on the Manchester, Piccadilly, second busiest stations outside of the UK going on strike. Yeah. I mean, that's
it's not good.
A big amount of action that they're committing by taking these strikes. It's going to cause disruption again to obviously colleges, schools and universities all going back. I think it has to stop at some point, because if people can't get to school and nobody drives and some people can't get to school and they're having to have absences because the railways are not working, well, it's going to cause a problem for many people. Remember what happened during the lockdown when we didn't have enough laptops. So there is a problem with that. But please comment down below, guys, what you think to the train strikes. Do you think they need to be stopped? Let me know what you think about them, because right now it is an international concern. Moving on now to the next part of the show, I want to go on and talk about A&E waiting times now. Now, as you guys would have known, this year and this past couple of weeks, hospitals have been facing a huge surge in flu and COVID cases, which is resulting in ambulances not exactly being able to take people with slip, strips and falls. Ambulance waiting times this week have soared to the highest level in parts of the country. Some people have had to wait about 2 days for an ambulance to turn up. I mean, what is that about? Come on, it's absolutely ridiculous. 2 days to get an ambulance turned up. Now, the government is in a bit of denial here, that they still don't have hardly any questions to ask. And there is as a result of yet more strikes for ambulance drivers and nurses coming up, it seems very much like now the NHS is in a big crisis. Zach, what do you make to the current situation with A&E waiting times? And do you think the Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, must immediately solve this problem?
I mean, yeah, it is a serious issue, Charlie, no doubt about it. And it continues to be a serious, severe problem that it just doesn't seem to be a solution, a fix in sight. I mean, waiting times, A&E waiting times to see a doctor, it's just reaching records. The situation appears to be even worse than COVID at this point, and we're not even in peak COVID now. So it just shows how much the quality of hospitals, the quality of service, the NHS, the actual waiting times, the overall service of the hospitals, the ambulances that travel there have severely declined. There has been talk of even more areas declaring, critical situations or critical emergencies, to the point where, there may well be more critical emergencies than there would be in COVID. It just shows you how so under pressure staff are. And it obviously, on top of that, there's also, as you said, strikes by nurses, strike by ambulance drivers. People are suffering as a result of all of this. There's no way out of them. They're just waiting record times. As many as 900 people are dying each week because they're waiting so long, so long, just to get a response from emergency services, or even for the hospital in their area to have rooms in their beds or anything, just to be checked out. I mean, it's just this is from the Royal College of Emergency Medicine. He's looked at all these waiting times as well. And he believes waiting has been December has been the worst he's ever seen, with more than a dozen NHS trusts and ambulance declaring critical incidents over the festive period. That shows you how much problems there has been, as well. It's a sad state of despair, really, that the example in the world of health service and hospitals has just completely died. It is literally died of a good death. It's not a good death at all. I mean, that's a bit sarcastic for me, but it is dying of a dangerous death, really. And it's really, 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 really bad. I mean, look at the stats in November, for example. 37,837 were waiting more than 12 hours. That is an increase of 355% compared with
the previous November. It's a huge number, isn't it? Oh,
355% increase. That is a level like off the page. It really is. It's a horrible indictment of our health service, and the situation is going to continue to get worse if this problem is not sorted out now. This is a crisis that nobody can imagine of how we could get to this, get to this situation. It's unbelievable. Just horrible.
I have to say as well, I just want to read this out. Last week, 1 in 5 ambulance patients in England waited more than an hour to be handed over to A&E teams. And ready for this, in Swindon, a patient was forced to wait on a trolley in A&E for, and I quote this now, a staggering 99 hours after arriving by ambulance at Great Western Hospital while staff tried to source a bed. I mean, unbelievable. It's unacceptable that if patients are dying or sitting in hospital corridors, this is an absolute national. It's a massive emergency, Zach. I have to say. I mean, I've never seen this before in all my years as being alive.
Absolutely, I know. I mean, like I said, it's worse than COVID, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Obviously, we knew there was going to be some after effects because of COVID, because there was going to be some backlog, but it should have never got to this situation where people can't even get ambulances, people can't go to hospitals, people have to sit on floors dying away whilst they're waiting to get a bed. It's a disgrace what our health service has come to, and there's a lot of hard-working people out there that are stretched to limit and they can't do much. They're doing their absolute almighty bloody best, and they're just stretched with the resources with what they got. It's really bad. Honestly, I can't. Just to look at it, you can tell how awful it is. The situation is on the ground, and people see it close up. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. I have to say, I just hope that this gets sorted out. Please comment down below, guys, what you make to the current crisis in our NHS. Is this a national emergency? And does the NHS need to have more resources and more doctors in general put in? Please comment down below what you make. Moving on now to the third part of this news. There is a lot to get through tonight. Trust me, I'm having to go through this pretty quickly. We're going to now go on to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, now entering its 11th month. And the other day, Ukraine made probably its biggest attack to date on the war. It launched I I think it was a drone, or I think it was a drone attack on a Russian air base. I think it was a base that was housing troops. It was an old school that was converted into a place to house Russian troops in the Donetsk region of Ukraine itself, or the Donetsk of Russia now, as it's Vladimir Putin claims, illegally sort of annexed. But Ukraine reckoned at least 500 Russian soldiers died. Russia put the tally down to 63 soldiers that lost their lives, potentially mobilized troops that were coming in under the order of President Putin to potentially bolster his military. We know Russia have announced a huge military increase, up to 1.5 million conscripts are meant to be fighting in Ukraine now, which is a massive mobilization of the entire Russian army. Russia do continue to harry Ukraine with missile and drone attacks over the last few days. Huge, extensive damage being done in the capital, Kyiv and Kharkiv, cities more without power. I have to say, Zach, though, are the Ukrainians certainly starting to fight back now in this war?
Oh, I certainly think they're continuing to fight and stay on. We've known that determination for the last few months, and it's just shown again throughout the war that they're still going really strong. And let's take an example of that attack yesterday on in Donetsk. They struck a base in Miklavika in Donetsk. As well, that killed, according to Russia, and this is just a Russian figure, there could be well more than that. They killed 60 people, 60 people inside, Russian people inside that military base. It shows a complete total car crash for the Russian strategy there, because what they've done is kept some of their troops, a majority of their troops in that area. And what is the result of this attack is that they've ended up killing these Russian troops that, have been located, basically been asked to base there. And because there's so many there, they've killed so much of the equipment and troops that have been, being asked to stay there as well. Now, from what I'm reading as well, is that this has been given criticism within the own Russian leadership as well, significant. A number of prominent pro-war bloggers acknowledged the attack, saying the casualties were higher than the figures originally reported. They were talking about 60. It could be more than that, which is probably wouldn't be surprised as well. But also, we have to remember that Russia is trying to use their own way to get through into Ukraine at the moment. More Iranian-made drones that are striking Kyiv and other areas as well. We've seen an absolute bombardment of that recently in the capital and other areas, in Kharkiv as well. There have been drone attacks there, and expect Volodymyr Zelensky was saying as well in his address that yesterday actually, that he expects more drone attacks to be happening as well in the next in the near future ahead as well. So these drone attacks aren't over. Obviously, the Ukrainian defense system is working, but it's not fully taking all down the drones. And it unfortunately is sometimes hitting targets as well. So yeah, there are a lot of strengths in some areas for the Russia. I mean, like their drones are doing, but they've got a package of drones, but they're also struggling to get through. Bakhmut, I can't even pronounce that area. Bakhmut. There is still a fight between both sides there. Still up for contest. It's still contested. The Ukrainians are starting to have some more defense there. Russia started to struggle to get through a little bit now, but it's still highly contested there as well. And what we've also learned today as well is that there will be an EU-Ukraine summit, I believe, in February as well, in Kyiv. It's all about, obviously, to do Ukraine's admission into the European Union, and a few others as well. So, yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment. Zelensky is going to expect the first bit of macro financial aid as well. 18 billion euros of assistance is expected to come from the EU directly to Ukraine as well. And also, Zelensky has been on the phone today to Rishi Sunak as well to discuss obviously strategies as well. In Bakhmut as well, it looks like what from UK sources are saying as well that Russia is not going to make any significant breakthroughs in the area at the moment because Russia are conducting a fixed operation in the area only at platoon or section level as well. So yeah, it's not going well. Especially, it's starting to get worse for Russia on the ground as well. And it seems like the only area that they can resort to is drone attacks at the moment.
Yeah, basically, there is something that Russia do, and that is drone attacks. It's just, I mean, something's going to have to be done. Accountability is going to have to be taken to Iran if they keep supplying them with drones. There's no way that Russia are obviously trying to use their. Are they trying to join forces with Putin's war machine? I don't know, but it's getting worse. I think Russia is starting to struggle now, and if they're turning on each other, there's tension in that Russian camp that possibly things are not looking great. But for the Ukrainians, we want them to win this war, and we want them to win this very quickly indeed, because this could drag on for months, and both sides will not give up, I'm sure. So that's all the news there from all the main news tonight. I'm now going to go over and talk once again about In the Spotlight now, a continuation of World War II, talking about some history. This is again a feature that I'm going to do a couple of times a month. But as it's January, I thought we'll start the new year off with an In the Spotlight edition. Now, last time I was on the show, I spoke about the whole start of the invasion of Poland. I'm now going to talk about something called Operation Sea Lion, which was codenamed for Hitler's invasion of Britain. And if you guys would have known exactly Operation Sea Lion was, it was named as the code name for Hitler's invasion of Britain. Now, the German Air Force was called the Luftwaffe, and the Luftwaffe was commanded into this, into this operation in an attempt to destroy the British Isles. Now, it was the Nazi code, obviously, for the war that was used in Britain. It would end in it was planned for September of 1940. It basically involved different stages. As you can see here, I'm going to get up a map, which is going to show you quickly exactly how this used to work. Now, the map in question shows you the different routes in which German planes would fly. We've got paratroopers there that would land on the coasts of Britain, particularly those in, say, Brighton, Portsmouth, Dover as well. And it also involved the Luftwaffe's campaign of targeting British docks such as Dover Harbour and also other critical infrastructure that belonged to the RAF. This is what started the long course of the war with Britain. It also started off the planned invasion of Britain in 1940 with the Blitz, which we'll talk about another time. But Zach, this was very interesting because after the fall of France and obviously British troops is surrendering in Dunkirk, this operation by Hitler from Germany seemed like at the time a massive gamble.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It seemed like a massive gamble in many ways because what Germany planned was obviously they invaded France before they tried to do this operation. Was obviously take over France, which they did mostly, and then use their resources in Germany and France to basically invade the UK in many senses all across the Dover Sea, the southern area, the south, and all the seaside areas with all their troops and basically take over their bases. And then eventually get to moving towards the city of London, take over London in many ways as well. But yeah, they try to do what they try to do really, and in many ways with their with all their getting in, trying to invade with trying to fly over with them on the ground and over the air, obviously paratroopers. And absolutely, it just didn't work at the end of the day. it did not work because it was cancelled, and it was obviously the diversion of the German, Italian, and other forces, because what they decided to do at the end of the day was do Operation Barbarossa, which was they decided to focus the resources of invading the Soviet Union instead. So that all that effort to go and invade Britain didn't actually work at the end of the day because it got cancelled because they realised all the resources needed to go into going into the Soviet Union, which it was a huge loss for the Germany in many ways because they focused on invading the Soviet Union, and was a little bit of a reprieve for Britain in many ways. They managed to survive it off as well. It did result in the Battle of Britain, but it also resulted as well. It also resulted in Britain surviving this stage of the war. The RAF was wanted to be Hitler ordered structure to be like the RAF to beat down the RAF. They were trying to block the British mines at the crossing port by German mines, artillery, even the coastal zone as well. But they did do the land forces or anything like that, and did they did get successfully some areas of bombing, but at the end of the day, they didn't win. The Brits beat them, and it resulted in a complete, disaster for the Germans, who focused their resources at the end of the day, attention to focusing on the Soviet Union instead, which was a humiliation it's derived for Adolf Hitler in many ways.
It was a huge humiliation for Hitler, but what came after that was pretty grim because Hitler decided that one of his air force would drop a bomb over London as a mistake. Churchill then said, right, we're going to go and do the same to Berlin. And then it all kicked off and we had the Blitz. And it shows you, Zach, as well, when they attacked the ports, the Luftwaffe, it was clear that Hitler shifted his troops to Russia, but shifted his air force more towards the British Isles.
Yeah, absolutely. And the results, obviously, of the Battle of Britain was because of, as you said, that all that bombing, unnecessary bombing that the Germans did. They claim it was an accident. I don't think it was intended as an accident. It was intended as a deliberate target force, so that it could be take over. They say it was an accident, but in a day, accidents, even if it was an accident, it is a costly accident that merits responses. And Winston Churchill had every right to go and bomb Berlin after what the Germans did to London. It was an unnecessary and spectacularly disastrous tactical mistake that they made that resulted in themselves being totally humiliated by the Brits. And it was, at the end of the day, the end result was disaster for the Germans and a total humiliation on the world stage to the point where the Hitler regime just went.
Yeah, it was an interesting story. But please comment down below, guys, what you make, or what you certainly made to Operation Sea Lion, and in general, was Russia's invasion of Ukraine also Operation Sea Lion or Operation Z? It was failed in many ways. Comment down below what you make to that. More history will be on my show in a couple of weeks' time. Moving on now to the sport briefing now. We're going to chat about sports news. Obviously, tonight, though, we can't start by announcing the unfortunate passing of rallying legend Ken Block at the age of 55 after a snowmobile accident in America. I have to say, this loss was an absolute shock. One of the most decorated rally car drivers of all time. Used to race, of course, for full performance of the Focus RSs in the World Rallycross Championship. And Zach, honestly, this loss today, pretty huge in the world of world rallying.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get any more famous in rallycross than Ken Block, because I remember Ken Block in many ways because I remember Ken Block from the Dirt Rally series. I had Dirt 3 on my PlayStation, and you hear his livery covered the whole thing. You'd be able to ride it in Dirt 2 as well. So he was, pretty famous, before that time, because everyone loved his rally skills. He's going across the jumps and everything like that. He was just an outright outstanding driver, and his adaptability from rallycross to rally, he was just a performance art on the stage and on the video games. He was just so popular, and that was the golden era for turbo machines, for drifting, for rallycrossing. He was the maestro behind it. He was the brains behind everything that made rally and rallycross just so fun and entertaining. And look at it, you see mainly associated with Monster Energy, with the green, white, black scheme, color schemes on the car and everything like that. He was the maestro, and he was the master in video games. Seen on the cover as well. Just seeing, I used to drive a lot of Ken Block's cars in Dirt Rally, because honestly, he was just the maestro of putting on a performance, showing off, and seeing how amazing he could drive rallycross cars. And honestly, he was an icon in rallying. He was just a beautiful, beautiful show off. He really was. And today we lost a huge member of the motorsport and rallying community in Ken Block. Ken Block was just a name that you could just connect with rallying and just motorsport in general. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. My heart out goes to his family, and may he rest in peace. I mean, because he obviously he is such a legend, and motorsport's dangerous. Skiing is dangerous as well. We all know that from what the reports came in. But yeah, what a sad day to see Ken Block die in an unfortunate accident in a car. He would have mastered those corners, drifted through them like absolutely got to the finish line. Wow. Honestly, what a stunning driver and a stunning loss to the community.
Yeah, quick little update from what I had to say here. It was with the deepest regret that confirmed that Ken Block has passed away in a snowmobile accident today. Hoonigan said in a statement on Instagram, Ken was a visionary and a pioneer and an icon, and most importantly, a father and a husband. He will be incredibly missed. He was 55 years old. The accident happened in Utah's Wasatch County, and the sheriff's office said that Block was riding on a steep slope when the snowmobile upended and landing on top of him. Unfortunately, he was pronounced dead at the scene due to injuries sustained in the accident. They released a statement saying that, adding that he was riding in a group but was alone when the accident occurred. Horrendous. And you want to know with him as well, he also appeared on 2 episodes of Top Gear in 2016. He began his rallying career in 2005. Block was named Rookie of the Year in the Rally America Championship, competed in the World Rally Championship, won several rallycross medals at the X Games. So it goes without saying, this man was a true icon in the world of motor racing. He will be sorely missed, as you guys would have known as well. So all I can say is to motorsport fans, we've lost a legend today in Ken Block. But moving on now to the main motorsport news. Obviously, Formula E coming up very, very soon in Diriyah. We'll have a couple more of Formula E next week. Now, I'm going to stay on the subject of motor racing because we do actually have some news that I want to bring you now, which I think is very, very interesting now. So we've spoken about Ken Block already. I'm now going to talk all about this now. This is going to be some statement by Formula One. This is a Formula One. We're going to talk about Formula One now, actually, because the 2023 season starts in March, and there has been a lot of chat about Red Bull in the media over the last few weeks. Christian Horner has been coming out basically talking about Red Bull's 2023 Challenger. Obviously, last year's issues with the cost caps. Red Bull is still on Red Bull's mind. And we got to a stage where Red Bull decided to basically make a car that beat the field last year. But, Zach, the last few days, Max Verstappen has been quite vocal on his social media about collisions he's had with Lewis Hamilton. What do you make to his comments about that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Verstappen, I have to say, he said that, he said he doesn't know why he and Lewis Hamilton have repeatedly crashed into each other during the last 2 seasons as well. But he said he gave this interview to motorsport.com where Verstappen said asked if he was accurately described racing as uncompromising, and he mentioned something about sometimes with Lewis it's a different story, and obviously I don't understand. Like this year, okay, we haven't really had a lot of battles, but Brazil we got together. It was not my intention. I got the blame for it, which I didn't find fair. It would be more of a racing incident I could live with, but I don't understand, mate. It's just a generation thing that we understand each other better. We are racing nicely to each other. I don't get it, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything different to Lewis or the other guy on time we're racing, because the day before with George, we were having an incredible fight, closed door defending, out braking. That was a lot of fun, he said as well. He said on top of discussing Hamilton, because in England this can be quickly received as criticism, they've been called out for it. So, he wants to talk about it, but he doesn't really, because obviously he's worried about all the criticism that he gets from the English commentators and all that sort of thing as well. So he talked about a lot of that, and he's been very vocal of the fact that sort of on-field battle with Lewis and everything like that. And he's obviously blamed a generational sort of thing. I mean, I don't know really. Maybe young drivers are a little bit more aggressive and a bit more exciting. Yeah, you could say that. But Lewis Hamilton's been in sport for business, and he's been conceived as one of the greats, and he can defend, he can get through a field fine. Maybe it's just that it's 2 different styles. It's the called calm-headed guy, Lewis Hamilton, determined, whereas Verstappen is aggressive, goes in all out. It could be different sort of styles in some ways as well, but those clashes and can result in a lot of problems for many ways. And it's just coincidence Verstappen and Hamilton have been the ones that be getting into the collisions. I mean, we've seen it lots.
Brazil, most recent one.
Yeah, Brazil, most recent one. They've had a few clashes. They've known to clash in Brazil quite a bit, actually, as well. Remember in 2021, Verstappen forced Hamilton off the circuit. In 2022, we saw them crash at turn 2. So yeah, Brazil, is now one of those exciting tracks, but the drivers' styles are completely different, and they do lead clashes.
Yeah, well, let's see how Hamilton and Verstappen get on. Formula One begins first week of March in Bahrain for the first round of the championship. Moving on now to the PDC World Darts Championship roundup for 2023. Currently on at the moment is the final between Michael van Gerwen and Michael Smith. Now, I have read up there have been a couple of 9 darters by what I've read up.
Yes.
I have actually seen 9 darters. Well, we're going to go off. We'll come on to the match in it. We'll come on to the match. We're going to talk about the match actually whilst we're on here. But talk about my moment of the tournament and probably what I might be talking about later on in my show in one segment. Gerwyn Price wearing ear defenders on stage in the Alexandra Palace. Probably, I've never seen this most bizarre way of playing darts with your ears covered. Yes, unfortunately, Gabriel Clemens knocked him out because he was playing better that day. Zach, what have you made so far to the semi-finals and quarterfinal and the finals rounds of the World Darts Championship at the Alexandra Palace?
Well, I have to say, first of all, let's discuss the Gerwyn Price. I have also never seen someone wear ear defenders whilst they're on the stage playing darts. I don't think it's against the rules, which is probably why he's wearing it. I mean, if Peter Wright can change his hair every time, the colour hair every time that he gets on a dart stage, I suppose there's nothing wrong with my Gerwyn Price wearing a pair of ear defenders. But you can clearly see he gets rattled by by the crowd. He gets a lot of bad blood within the crowd, Gerwin Price, and that the semi-final between Price, so Clemens was Gable Clemens was it rattled him. He won the first set. He was doing really well. You can clearly see that he was doing well. And running off away in the first set, he was comfortable. And then Clemens started way back as well. The crowd was on his side. Gerwin Price got proper fed up with it, rattled, and then tried to put his defenders in and everything like that. It did not work. His performance went down the hill from there onwards. He did the highest bit of ear defenders. He then did the simple earplugs like my one. It was totally and utterly useless. No effect whatsoever. And the result was that Gerwin Price, the world number one, I don't think it's going to be no longer number one after this tournament, went out in spectacular fashion by 5 sets to 1 as well. Michael Van Gerwen's thrashed Chris Dobie 5-0 in the semis. Michael Smith won 6-2 against Clemens. Michael Van Gerwen 6-0 absolute thrashing by Dimitri Van der Berg as well, which leads to the final of Michael Smith versus Michael Van Gerwen. And do you want to know the results so far, Charlie? I don't know whether I should give it.
Yeah, we'll go over the live feed whilst we're here. And yes. I can say, without heart, I believe Smith is actually up front.
Yes, he is currently leading 5-3. It is, I think you need to get 7, I believe.
Yes, but yes, to 7.
You need to get to 7 to win the championship. Michael Smith is 5-3 up at the moment. And it will be beaten. It's quite something, beating a 3-time world champion. I don't think Michael Smith has ever.
No, he's never won it. He's been in 9, 10 finals. Only won one of them. Wow.
Yeah, this would be a big win for Michael Smith. If he can hold on to this 5-3 as well. I think they've just resumed from the break as well, because I can see the score little updating here as well. I got this cool little score as well, but it's 5-3. Michael Van Gerwen with a lot of work to do to reclaim the title. But Michael Smith on fine form at the moment. Has he got enough strength to take it to the last few sets and wins as well? We are on set number 9, and it's Michael Smith 5-3 at the moment.
Throw in as well for a 6-3 lead is Michael Smith at the moment. Bully Boy throwing for a 6-3 lead. All I can say is it is getting very tense and very close in the World Darts Championship final between the two players. And of course, Michael Smith went into last year's event 5-4 up, and Peter Wright came back and won the World Championship. But Michael Smith is nearly heading up against Van Gerwen, could go 6-3 up, which if he does, will put him in prime position to win the World Darts Championship. Can Michael Smith do it for the first time in his career? Please let me know down in the comments. We'll keep updated with the scores as they come in, and we will announce the result if there is a winner declared at the end of the show. Moving on now to the football. Yes, we've had Premier League action, football action over the last few days. I know one of my listeners really wanted me to do it, so I will promise you that we will prioritise football every week when it comes to results. And football is a very popular sport. I'm sure Brazil's new president will find that very interesting, called Lula. We'll talk about him more in a little while. Moving on now to the match day 19 fixtures. And there was also some fixtures as well on the weekend. But we'll go over some on match day 9. Brentford beating Liverpool 3-1. Interesting result there for Brentford. Liverpool not in good form at the moment. Fulham 1-0 winners away at Leicester. Arsenal and Newcastle were held to a goalless draw. Brighton 4, Everton 1. Frank Lampard under huge pressure at the moment. And Manchester United were 3-0 winners at Bournemouth, at home against Bournemouth. Southampton and Nottingham Forest play tomorrow at 7:30. 7:45 will see Leeds take on West Ham. Aston Villa and Wolves will play at 8 o'clock, along with Crystal Palace and Tottenham. And the big game tomorrow evening is Chelsea versus Manchester City tomorrow. Zach, what have you taken away from the football fixtures over the last couple of days?
Yeah, well, first of all, yesterday, big shot, Brentford 3-1 over Liverpool. Brentford played really well throughout the game, I have to say as well. I mean, there was times where I think they could have won by 5 because of the 2 offside decisions that went against them. But nevertheless, as well, I think it was a stunning result by Brentford anyway, with the way they played. And, some of the goals they scored was pretty spectacular. Liverpool all over the place, poor defending as well. So there's also, this has been a full match day, by the way, I should point out. It's in midweek as well. And it's not going well for Leicester again. Another 1-0 loss against Fulham. I expect the results need to start improving for Leicester if they're going to have any chance as well to continue improving. Arsenal, this is another one of surprise results today. Arsenal being held to a draw against Newcastle. That is, I'm not surprised. In ways, I'm actually not surprised because Newcastle has been third in the table. But that result is big for Newcastle. Holding the league leaders is going to be, it just proves their resilience against them. As well, Eddie Howe, Mikel Arteta nearly got into a scrap towards the end of the match as well, I should point out. But yeah, it was a tough match for both sides. Newcastle holding on. Everton, though, are going to feel under pressure now. 4-1 loss against Brighton. 4-1 is a big loss for them. Frank Lampard is surely going to feel a lot of pressure from that result now. And Manchester United were comfortable 3-0 win against Bournemouth. As you said, tomorrow's matches are going to include Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Leeds, West Ham, Aston Villa, Wolves. The game of the day tomorrow is Crystal Palace against Spurs. And the big match is on Thursday as Chelsea will be taking on Manchester City. It's a big match for both sides as well. Chelsea have been struggling a little bit. City also held to draw last time. Big repercussions for both sides, I think, as well. I think for the Premier League table as well. But let me actually look at the Premier League table at the moment after tonight's results. As you know, Arsenal 8 points ahead. It could be 5 by the end of the match day if City win. As well, Brighton 8th position now. Fulham up to 7th. It's a significant result for Fulham as well, who got up to 7th. Brighton 8th. Brentford now in 9th. Chelsea are now going to this match day in 10th position. It is pretty bad, isn't it? You have to say pretty bad for them. The situation is not getting any better as well. But yeah, another loss for Everton as well. It's going to be important over some of them in the matches as well. Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Southampton. I think it's going to be a pretty significant match as well because they are both in the bottom 3. And anyway, if either of them win, and West Ham lose, then West Ham will be plonked to the relegation zone. I should point out, Wolves have got a significant match as well against Aston Villa. So Villa and Wolves are going to be a significant match as well. But Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Villa, Wolves going to be significant matches as well as Spurs, Palace v Spurs as well. Spurs, who struggling last time against against Villa, they need to win this match against Palace to keep their top 4 hopes alive.
Yeah, recovering from a 2-0 loss to win, it's got to be. They've got to try and do something to win that match. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. That is all the football news coming up. We'll do that again next week. Moving on now to Charlie's good news. Talking this week about a couple of things. Of course, this weekend, guys, I am going up to Birmingham. I'm actually heading up tomorrow to referee at the Dunlop British Junior Open taking place this weekend. BJO Day 1 will kick off with 23 matches across 4 venues, 6:20 with the last one during action at 9:20. The British Junior Open will take place and it is a very big event. Plenty of players are actually playing in this event. Boys under 19s will see Rowan Damming and Finney Withington battling it out for the crown. We also have other draws released as well for the event, which will be available online. It will also see as well Armenia Orfi going for the under-19 girls as well. Tori Malik, Asia Harris, Caroline Futus also in that. Tori Malik reigning under-19s champion in the girls as well. Boys under-11s top seed will be Hazim Sawat of Egypt. He is one of the ones to watch in the boys under-11s. Boys under-13s will also see Colton Capella of America taking on Marcos Alvarez on tomorrow as well at West Warwick as well, and Soliver Harden as well. And there are also plenty of other matches as well. Boys under 15s will also see matches taking place as well for Nicholswire. Magatasum is the one of the season. Indy Flint there, 17-32. Emily Colsher-Porter and Miriam Isa will feature in the girls under 15s as well. And boys under 17s, Yusuf Salem will be the top seed. Plenty of players, guys, in that draw. It will be held across 4 venues, which I'll be announcing now, which is over the weekend. The University of Birmingham, West Warwick Sports Club, Solihull Arden Club, and of course the club I'll be visiting, Edgbaston Priory. For more information, please visit www.britishjunioropen.com for all the details. There is also a special message from tournament referee Peter Hindmarsh. If you don't know Peter Hindmarsh, I will be working alongside him over the weekend to help with the refereeing team for the Dunlop British Junior Open and also parts of England squash as well. Good luck to all players taking part in the competition is my message tonight. This is the message from tournament referee Peter Hindmarsh for the event.
Yeah. You unmuted myself there, I think, Charlie. You're right.
To welcome all players, coaches, parents, guardians, family, and friends from
I shouldn't have spoke over. Oops.
In January. Please take a couple of minutes to read the tournament referee statement, which can be found on the British Junior Open website. So, play fair, be competitive, and let's make this a memorable British Junior Open.
Thank you there to Peter Hindmarsh. A very short message there from the tournament referee, leading all, basically in charge of all of us, including myself, as well, to essentially run this event smoothly. For all the referees, we'll be in charge of officiating matches, and we'll be officiating matches ourselves. Plenty of players. I'm not going to name some of the players I've ref tonight. I've done loads, but we'll be at Edgbaston refereeing some of the under 13s, 15s matches. Be very interesting to see how I get on. Moving on now to my other good news story of the week. The Apprentice is back on Thursday. We can now tell you that some of the candidates have already now been confirmed ahead of the new series. Meet the candidates for Series 17. I said I've done this the other week, but we've now got full confirmation of the candidates. And the list is up here. Lord Sugar returns on Thursday, where I cannot wait for the launch of it. And Zach, what do you make to the new candidates starting The Apprentice?
Yeah, first of all, sorry for interrupting you over the little speech that the other thing gave. Apologies for that. But yeah, I mean, let's look at the candidates. I mean, Avia Sharma, I have to say, let's see how serious they are as well. I mean, they've done interviews with the radio. I think they've done interviews. He lives in London. He's a 60 baker. Some say he's delusional. I prefer the term optimistic. Let's see if he's actually delusional when he does the challenges as well. He says he wants Lord Sugar's investment because he has to get the race, the banking job, and hardest working he'll ever meet. Then you got Bradley Johnson. That's an interesting name, I have to say as well. He said his USP is drive, determination, starting for business from absolutely nothing, taking it to a company, to have 6 figures, shows determination. His biggest weakness is public speaking. Well, that'll be interesting.
It'll be good for doing pitches, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll definitely be very good for public speaking. That I have to say as well. And for that cost him some tasks as well. We got Danny Donovan. I have to say, first of all, I'm not being rude. What has she done to her lips? Honestly, what has she done to her lips? She looks like she ate a bit of candy and, you know, flossed it and got her lips stuck together as well. It looks really bad. She says she's got personality. She don't have a hairstyle. She's got personality. It's probably why she looks like that half the time anyway. But she said, the biggest weakness is also my biggest strength. It's that nothing is ever good and I always want more. Yeah, true in many ways as well. She wants Lord Sugar's investment because it will appeal and it will speak to lots of different people. There's a huge gap in the market what she does as well. Danishi Barji is financial controller. She said she's strong, she's hardworking, know my worth, I can achieve. But she's also said she thinks a weakness and skill is handling pressure, tested a number of times. And she wants Lord Sugar's investment because she wants to create an enterprise as well. Work for family as well. We've got Emma Brownlee. Oh, crikey. She's a senior account executive. She's willing to go the extra mile to put everything commit. Is highly motivated, 5+ years on hand at sale. I'm extremely competitive. That's her biggest weakness. This is Gregory. Oh, my goodness me. That's a very serious face, I should say. USP is being able to think outside the box, try different things. Weakness could say, call it also say, I'm getting a theme here. My biggest weakness, some could also say strength. Is that what they all say? Goodness me. Someone, this is interesting. Joe Flitz from South Africa. So someone coming from a business and outside the UK. He's got dyslexia, interestingly, as well. That would be very interesting dynamic because the fact he's got dyslexia, it's going to be very interesting to see how he does with writing and noting things down in task as well. He studies zoology and animal behavior as well. He says he didn't deserve Lord Sugar investment or anything else in the process, but I do think something they don't.
We've also got Kevin D. Darcy as well, and is an accountant. He
Yeah.
started a water sports equipment business during lockdown, apparently. He said he has a 10-year career in financial services. Mark Mosley as well. He is an owner of a pest control company in London as well. He'll be another interesting one. Marlene Swindles, another one. Megan Hornby. Reece Donnelly, of course, from the theatre school, the one who I think was on the Abbey Road cover. Pretty sure that was
really
as well.
interesting. That is really interesting, I have to say, as well. The fact that he's on the roadshow is interesting. Sometimes I can be guilty of neglecting the work. That'd be really, really interesting to see the as well. But he's BXUSP, he's the young CEO of a further education college. I work in the education industry in some ways as well. And he's Scottish as well. We've got Rochelle Anthony. Good. There's so many of them. Oh my God. Like, it's just so many of them. Shani Martin as well, owner, Bradcool Boutique. Shazina Hussain, technological recruiter as well. Simba Rambrini. If my USPs myself, people can't buy into you, they never buy into anything else from you. I don't know, maybe that's true. So Hollywood Chowdhury, a martial arts school, Victoria Goulburn, as well, adaptable, keen business. Goodness me, that's a lot of them. Blimey, there is more candidates this year, I think, than previous seasons as well, which means the hiring process is going to be very interesting because I expect we're going to go through 3 episodes where some are going to go through multiple firings, I think, as well.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Let's see how The Apprentice gets on. It starts on Thursday. I'll have to record it and watch it over the weekend. We'll keep you updated with all the latest news from that. Now it's time for the papers. Oh my God, I've seen a couple of the front pages already, and I'm getting myself pretty, should I say, pretty concerned about what's to come. Please do not go back that way is what I'm saying. So the Daily Mail goes for an anti-lockdown headline, what I would sort of more go with. Let's not return to face mask madness. Tory MPs warned that return of dystopian face masks last night after health chiefs urged cold and flu victims to wear one. Okay, I certainly agree with that, in my opinion, there as well. The Guardian says doctors condemn delusional Prime Minister after he denies there's a crisis in our health service. And also as well, over the last week, many tributes in Brazil following the death of his heroic footballer, Pelé, as well. Huge loss for the football community. The I newspaper goes for UK hunts for the China's COVID variant China's COVID variant comes as the UK imposed a testing requirement for all Chinese arrivals coming into the UK just the other day. And the Daily Star goes for, I think, the funniest headline of the week. Where's Rishi? Readers urged to check sheds and fridges in case he's trapped inside one. Well, where's Wally? Where's Rishi? Actually, a very good
I
game.
was going to say that, sir.
Zach, what do you make to the current newspaper headlines?
Right, let's start off with the Mail. This is the fact that they're going on with the very gendery, let's not return to face mask madness. Susan Hopkins from the UK Health Security Agency has made some recommendations, not laws, but recommendations. She basically said try to stay at home when unwell. Adding, if you have to go out, wear a face covering. When unwell, don't visit healthcare sessions or visit vulnerable people unless urgent. This is the fact we've got flu coming around as well. I suffered in that a few weeks ago. I got a little bit ill and I lost my voice and everything like that. And then I recovered quite miraculously after 5 days as well. But yeah, there's a lot of flu going on at the moment. There's a lot of colds. A lot of get over the winter, especially over Christmas as well, as everyone comes back as well. You know, and there's been kind of like some recommendations, not mandatory instructions, but recommendations that, you know, if you got flu, stay at home, wear a face covering, you have to go out and everything like that. Don't go to it. But there's a whole lot of people thinking, oh yeah, this means there's going to be lockdown, there's going to be face covering mandatory. No, there isn't, because the UK government is not going to go that way. I'm probably it's very likely that it's not going to go that way, and all that sort of thing as well. The Guardian goes for doctors condemned delusional PM after he denies crisis in the NHS. Doctors accused Rishi Sunak of being delusional yesterday after he denied the NHS was in crisis and said he had the money required to cope with the surge in winter illness. It is in crisis. Rishi Sunak, he's in a lot of crisis. Waiting times are up, hospital times are up, ambulance times are up. It's a crisis undermade in the Conservative watch. So, yeah, you are delusional on this one, I'm afraid, as well. Doctors accuse Rishi Sunak of delusional. It's in crisis. Did you know, it's all good throwing a bit of money at it, but it's the actual services that need to improve itself. There's people hard work that just can't give the people the service they need because of the resources available to them. It's no good for the Prime Minister saying, oh, we have nothing to see here, nothing to see here, nothing to see here, because there is a big problem for the Prime Minister in terms of, you know, the health service is in trouble, and it will continue to remain in trouble unless there is some sort of short-term and long-term solution for the NHS at the moment, because it is big issues. And the eye goes to UK hunts of China's next COVID variant. British health officials will test up to 2,000 Chinese nationals arriving at Heathrow every day. Searching any new COVID variants of spread out and control of 1.4 billion population. This is the fact that now many countries are starting imposing testing measures for people coming from China.
US, Canada, several countries that have just imposed them the other day.
It's because the COVID cases are absolutely soaring in China, and that they don't trust the Chinese to in terms of sharing data and publishing data in terms of what variants they could potentially have and what problems they have as well. I mean, they've been very influenced in having to, you know, open up the country because of the problems they had in the protests in terms of lockdown there. And now they have opened the country, they're not being very totally honest about the figures they're giving. So, but the problem of our country, Charlie, I think as well, I think this is a big problem as well, is although we're testing people, we're not actually requiring them to quarantine or anything like that if they have got COVID. They don't have to quarantine. They can recommend to quarantine, but they don't have to quarantine, which is a bit pathetic, really, because it makes the thing, what's the point of it? If we're just testing people at the end of the day and then not letting them spread it out in public, it's just a waste of time, to be honest, as well. I'll get to the Telegraph front page that's just been released as well in a minute, but the Daily Star goes for their really funny front page. Where's Rishi is a replication of Where's Wally. There is a lot of you know, Wally's out there. But the question is, no one knows where Rishi Sunak is. As the NHS crumbles, our bashful Prime Minister is still nowhere to be seen. Obviously, he was in somewhere earlier on, but he was just not in the action of sorting out the NHS. Readers urged to check sheds and fridges in case he's trapped inside. As we do know, Charlie, there has been a prime minister before that has hidden in a fridge before. Maybe he's next one to be hiding in a shed as well, because who knows where he is at the moment. I don't know what's happened with him. And obviously the Telegraph front page has come out as well. We've got 2 pages actually. The Independent come out on the front page. But first of all, the Telegraph, Sunak sets out principles in major speak as he battles striking unions and NHS backlogs. He says mass at the heart of the Premium vision for Britain. As well, I'm actually going to look at this front page actually because I haven't seen it yet in many ways as well. Rishi Sunak today announces that he will want all people to study maths until the age of 18 in major speech, setting out his vision for Britain as well. So basically proving education in many ways is that's what he wants to do. Studying maths until the 18, I'd say that's a pretty good idea, to be fair. We should be, if you're not doing good at your maths, then you really should be studying to 18. And the Independent comes out with Sunak claims NHS have funds to cope with crisis. So, that is kind of like what the Guardian one is. And they've also got a picture of many people going to the funeral of Pele, who sadly died as well over the last week. It's a very sad and very upsetting death for the football community in Brazil, with Pele dying as well. I mean, rest in peace to one of the greatest footballers you could ever imagine in Brazil as well. And that was in Santos as well. We could see the coffin on one of the ambulances there, and just a massive crowd as well. I mean, so admired in the world of football. Obviously, rest in peace, Pele. Contribution's been outstanding to football.
Yeah, very, very interesting. A lot of these newspapers, and particularly Pele as well, very huge loss to the footballing community. It brings me on now to my heroes and villains of the week. The nomination for my heroes of the week goes to Pele for being an absolute incredible football player. I know, unfortunately, passing away this week. We've got to recognise him for what he done with Brazil, and I think it's a huge achievement for. It was a huge achievement. It was a brilliant football player. He's going to be sorely missed, but he was a huge achievement for football. He was a legend of the game, and he'll be sorely missed as well. I have to also give Ken Block a nomination as well for his incredible world rallying commitments, and also to the England women's football team for being nominated on some of the 9S's for being nominated on the New Year's Honours list as well. By the way, you can view that all online on the New Year's Honours list as well. Now, we just got a quick update from the World Darts Championship that I can confirm to you now. Just been updated. Michael Smith 6-4 up. Van Gerwen though 2-1 up in this set. Brings me on now to my Red Devils of the week, which is going to be Gerwyn Price, the darts player from Wales. Gets my nomination for this. Have a listen to what he had to do the other day during his quarter-final match against Gabriel Clemens.
Sponsors coverage of the World Darts Championship.
Right, do we have a royal upset on our hands here at the Palace? Because Gerwyn Price is 2 sets down, and he has come out after the break wearing gold. Now, he had done an interview in the lead-up to his match with Raymond van Barneveld, saying he'd been practicing with earplugs. These aren't quite earplugs, are they? Have the crowd been getting to him? And it looks like he is going to play the 5th set wearing those.
It was certainly very, very interesting. This is what Michael Van Gerwen had to say the other day.
But overall, I think I can be pleased with the way how I played. I've won. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but as well, I know how to perform well against him. I know Dimi's going to do his mental stuff and all that. I don't care about that. I just need to make sure I concentrate myself on my darts.
When you were warming up as well, did you see Gezi come out with his ear defenders on him? What was your thoughts on it?
Behind him, and I only said, you don't have the balls to put him on, and he did. So I just was trying to wind him up. But in this position, with the way, with his capability, with how big he is in darts, I would have done it. But he's been going through a rough period, and that doesn't always make it easy. So, yeah.
Michael, many congratulations. Michael, just one on that. Would you ever resort to that, ear defenders, or
What?
would you ever use in ear defenders?
I bought once. No, I bought it once. I gave it to my daughter.
Do you think players should be allowed to use them or not?
Wait. I don't think. No. It's never been done in darts before. I think. And also, Casey, he doesn't need it. He's a bit in a tough period at the moment, so he's trying to think about things. But he shouldn't put himself in that position. But that's darts, unfortunately.
You've been so dogged.
Yeah, thank you. Michael Van Gerwen there giving a pretty interesting interview about Gerwin Price's ear defenders there. I have to say, certainly one that Gerwin Price would be feeling. He did actually put out an Instagram post as well saying basically blaming the crowd for a lot of his problems. I understand that. But I feel like it's kind of getting to a point now that Price has to consider his future in darts. And I'm also going to give another nomination as well to Prince Harry for that interview with the BBC. Oh my God, the most wokest interview ever, where Prince Harry goes on and basically slams William and Kate basically in that interview. I mean, goodness me, the Windsors are clearly not going to be happy with what you've just done there in that interview. As the Harry and Meghan saga continues on Netflix, I won't be watching that anytime soon. Zach, what have you made to my latest nominations?
Interesting. I have to say some I agree with. That Harry interviews, by the way, is going to be on ITV at 9 p.m. on the Sunday for an hour and a half. That'll be very interesting viewing.
Oh, it was ITV interview Dubai.
Done an interview with America as well, Anderson Cooper for CBS as well. That's also going to be going out as well. Right, nominations this week. I'll tell you what. I am going to my British star. My hero this week is going to be the medical staff that saved Damar Hamlin's life. As you probably might have been aware, the NFL game tonight, last night, the Bills and the Bengals, Damar Hamlin had a cardiac arrest on the playing field yesterday during the middle of the match. I have to say, a very shocking heart attack as well. Really, really horrible sight to see. But thankfully, the medical team, with all their work and the support of the whole community, the medical team managed to possibly save Damar Hamlin's life on the field as well. He had no pulse for 9 minutes. No pulse for 9 minutes, but went in an ambulance to the nearby hospital. He's got pulse, thankfully, but he remains in a critical condition. We have had no other update since the update this morning, unfortunately, as well. But everyone's praying for Damar Hamlin at the moment. And I just want to say well done to all the medical team who've honestly done an outstanding job of saving his life. It's just an incredible job for him. The Red Devil this week, I have not thought of one until today, and today's events give me a good reason to think why it's a good idea to give it to this person. I'm going to give it to Kevin McCarthy, because I can tell you right now, chaos, literal chaos.
I've seen some news about this. I know I have.
So today's the day. We're supposed the Republicans are the Congress, the 118th Congress begins. They're supposed to be electing the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The Republicans got the majority, 222 to 213 in the November midterm elections. So you'd think that Kevin McCarthy, as the leader of the House Republicans, would get the speakership. Oh no, it's gone completely tits up today. There's been a bunch of 19 hardline conservatives that have decided not to support McCarthy for the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And for the first time, we've had multiple House floor votes to become the Speaker. There has been no moves from the hardline Conservative. They have stuck to their promise to vote against Kevin McCarthy. And currently, we have nobody have a majority at the moment to become Speaker of the House. And without becoming Speaker of the House, there is no business at the moment. There is no business can be conducted, no investigations, no set up committees. So the House Republicans have started their charge of the House of Representatives in disarray, total chaos. And I can tell you now, Charlie, that the House have now adjourned for today after 3 rounds of voting with no speaker being decided. So Kevin McCarthy, who was supposed to become the speaker, an expectation, but because he had won by such initial majority and hardline Conservatives are now using their power to stop him, and they're fed up with him, no speaker after today. There's currently no speaker. Will Kevin McCarthy keep the pressure on the hardline Conservatives to force another round of voting, another round of voting, another round of voting, another round of voting until there is a solution? It does appear to be the case at the moment. No one is backing down at the moment. The House of Representatives is currently in stalemate. There is no Congress at the moment. No one has been elected that role to oversee the House of Representatives. And until someone has, we're going to keep going around in circles. So, yeah, this is chaotic so far. House Republicans have started their time in Congress as in charge of the House of Representatives in absolute disarray. So Kevin McCarthy gets the Red Devil this week. And
also as well, I would like to congratulate Hero whilst I'm here. It's just been announced Michael Smith has won the World Darts Championship 2023 in the last couple of minutes. What have you made to that news?
Yeah, I mean, it was 6 sets up as well. It'd been a card-fought contest, but Michael Smith, his first world title, I believe, in 10 attempts. Unbelievable. Incredible. It took him that long, but he finally got there. Incredible winner. Incredible competitor. And it's just really good to see someone different win the World Championship. So well done, Michael Smith. An incredible achievement for him.
Yeah, congratulations to Michael Smith there for winning the World Darts Championship. I have to say, I cannot wait to watch the highlights later on this evening. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, for the Charlie Tolhurst show. And I will be off to Birmingham over the next couple of days to officiate squash. And I will see you again next week for another episode of the Charlie Tolhurst show. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.